third grade. So today we're going to be talking about objects in the sky. So objects in the sky you may see during the day are the clouds and the sun, and at night you'll see the moon, some stars. If you put the stars together, they're constellations, as we talked about in class. You may even see a planet or two if you use a telescope, some comets, among other things. So I really encourage you, with your parents' permission, to go outside and take a look during the day and at night and see what you can find in the sky and write it down somewhere. Be a scientist, take diligent notes, because scientists document, as I always told you in class. So I encourage you to do that. I encourage you to be a scientist during all of this and document as much as you can. One thing that I have noticed from the past that students get a little confused with is the difference between a microscope and a telescope. A microscope is a scientific tool used to make small objects look big, and a telescope is a scientific tool used to make faraway objects appear closer. So if I wanted you to look at a germ, you would use a microscope. That is something small that you're trying to make bigger. If I wanted you to look at Mars and its circulation, I would ask you to use a telescope. That makes a faraway object look closer, because those objects are millions of miles away. So today's experiment, we are going to actually make one of those objects in the sky. We're going to make a cloud. Again, you do not have to do these experiments at home. They're just what we would have done in the classroom. You are welcome to do it if your parents say it's okay and you have everything, but you are not being graded on the experiment portion. I am, however, going to be grading you on the quiz portion that is found under the assignments tab. So today we are going to be making a cloud. What you need is a jar, because clouds are made of water, but they expand. So we gotta keep our little cloud in here. So you need a jar. They are what's known as their condensations of water. So water needs to turn into water vapor, which is a gas, before it floats up and collects to something, either smoke or dust particles, and it condensates into little droplets. So for us to have something for it to condensate to, we're actually going to be using hairspray. So we're going to spray that into the jar so that our water vapor, that gas, can turn back into a liquid as condensation, and it'll condense onto our hairspray here. You also need a cup of water. Now, I would recommend it being warm, not too hot, because if it gets too hot, then the steam and the condensation on the outside of your glass will not, or inside, but will not allow you to see your cloud as easily. You need a couple of ice cubes. I already put them on my container that I'm going to use as a lid. Some that do this experiment likes to use mason jars and use the little tiny metal lid that goes on top. I'm just gonna use a plate and set it right on top, and I went ahead and put my ice cubes on that plate so it can already start to get it nice and cold. So again, you need a jar, some warm water, hairspray, ice cubes, and a lid. You're going to fill your jar up about 1/3 to 1/4 of the way full. If you go to half, that's okay. You just kind of eye it the best you can with your warm water. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky. You have to be quick. And we all know when we get quick, sometimes we get sloppy, so I'm just clearing my table just in case, because my ice is starting to melt. And now you do not need a ton of ice for this, so don't put a whole bucket of ice on top of your jar. You just need 3 or 4 ice cubes, just a little bit. So if my camera person will zoom in on my jar, because this will happen really, really quick, you're gonna take your hairspray, spray it down in there, trap it in there, and you can already kind of see my cloud starting to swirl around, especially at the top here. You can see it starting to turn back into its gas. And can you see it on camera at all? Especially near the plate up at the top where it's cooler. You can kind of see. And the warmer your water, as long as it's not too hot, the better it'll be. But my water was sitting here while I was talking to you guys. And again, the cooler my plate is, because as you rise up in the atmosphere, it does get cooler, and you'll notice that it is causing our cloud because it's causing that water vapor from the steam to actually turn and condense into a cloud. So I trapped my cloud in a jar, and you can do this over and over again. It's really quick. The longer we're sitting here, the more water vapor is actually condensing and the thicker my cloud is becoming. So you can see it a little bit better. You can also see the condensation on the sides of the jar where it's starting to collect. And there you have it. You have a cloud in a jar. So hopefully this is a fun experiment if you do get to try it quick and easy at home, where you can actually see the process of the water actually collecting to something and turning into a cloud, because that's how it happens in nature. The water is evaporated, it collects to something into condensation, turning into those tiny droplets of water that get heavier and heavier until finally it can fall down as precipitation, known as rain, hail, sleet, or snow. So now that you've seen my video, third graders, it's time to head over to that assignments tab and take the quiz. Bye guys.